What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to analyze the tape of the Washington Commanders against the Chicago Bears. We're going to look at the Bears offensive line. Darnell Wright looked super explosive in yesterday's game, had multiple high quality wins, had multiple dominant blocks at the point of attack. Then Theo Benedict has taken over at the left tackle position, and the guy looks like the future for the Chicago Bears. You know, last week's video, we broke down both Theo Benedict and Ozzie Trapilo. And in that video, I had said that I think Theo Benedict should be the left tackle for the Bears at this point. Based off his play against the Raiders, based off the tape, the guy looked really impressive. And Ozzie Trapilo, you know, he's obviously a rookie, and you can definitely see that on tape. But I'm excited to talk about some of these different guys. And we'll go ahead and start with the second play of the game. 10-yard pass is Zacchaeus. Jonah Jackson has to be a lot better, man. This guy's been struggling a lot this season. And I think this is one of the things where for the Bears, you know, you don't really have the option to say, hey, let's switch him out. But this guy has so many losing snaps every single week. And sometimes it's not noticeable because the quarterback either gets the ball out or he gets out of the pocket. But there are so many plays like this where on this one, you know, the slides to the left, it's a super simple block where the right guard and center are responsible for the long three technique and number 4, who's obviously identified as the Mike on this one. So to me, it's a pretty simple pickup. Jonah Jackson slides to the left of your screen. 94 goes inside. He lets him go. Number 4, the inside linebacker comes. You just got to pick him up. And he just straight up makes 73 miss. So to me, you got to do a better job. Now, obviously, the quarterback gets the ball out, but this was 2nd and 8. And if Zacchaeus wasn't open, this could have been a potential sack or an incomplete pass, which could have easily led to a loss of yards. Either way, let's go ahead and get into the next snap here. You're going to get a 7-yard run on this one. And this is such a great job by the guys up front. You know, yesterday, DeAndre Swift had the most success on the ground this season. And one of the things we have to recognize with the Washington Commanders front is they're a stack the box front. And what I mean by that is the Commanders run a lot of cover 1 and cover 3 defense. So every single run gap will always have a guy inside of it, no matter what. So every gap will always be contained playing the Washington Commanders. But the Bears still were able to find success on these outside and wide zone concepts. Now I want to break some of these plays down because you got some really nice blocks. On this one here, Drew Dalman has essentially a 2-eye technique defensive tackle he has to get in front of. And this is the thing with Dalman. Dalman's not great as a pass blocker. All right. And I'm not saying he's terrible, but he's not an elite pass blocker, but he is an elite run blocker when it comes to reach blocking. And he did this with the Falcons all the time while he's with the Falcons. He would just reach guys and shut guys down, and that opens up massive lanes. Joe Tooney did the same exact thing. On this one here, you see both the center and left guard. They're going to reach number 99 up to number 4 here. 99 does slant to the backside here. But Dalman makes sure to shut him down, make sure that he's not able to get to the running back. At the same time, Tooney does a really nice job on the inside linebacker. He holds him long enough where the running back's able to pick up 7 yards. You're going to get a 12-yard screen pass. Keep an eye here on the right guard, Jonah Jackson. Again, you got to do a better job if you're the right guard. You have to be able to go out there and make contact with these linebackers. On this one, he just misses, and Bobby Wagner blows this up. Now, this play is kind of interesting, right? Because on the positive side, you pick up 12 yards. But then on the negative side, you could have picked up a lot more yards. You know, on this play right here, Jonah Jackson runs out to Bobby Wagner and seals him off to one side. The left guard's going to end up getting up to the other linebacker. You know, if you're aggressive about these blocks, if you get all the way up to number 54 here and make that contact, the running back can actually have a lane where he's able to pick up more than 12 yards. If Bobby Wagner wants to go to the inside, which is exactly what he does, if you're just a little bit more aggressive and maybe if you wall him off to one side or the other, maybe the running back ends up hitting us for even more yards. In my opinion, this guy has to do a much better job. That's not acceptable. Not only do you miss the block, but your guy makes the play, right? So you have the numbers. You have to be able to execute this block. That's a bad job right there by the right guard. Based off the tape that I've watched, Jonah Jackson definitely had a lot of struggling snaps. Now I want to go ahead and show you guys the first 3rd and 4 of the game. This was the play that basically ended the drive, which forced the Chicago Bears to settle for the field goal. One of the things that the Washington Commanders do is they do what is called a simulated pressure. And they're really, really, really good at this. But if you're a great offensive line, you're able to pick these things up. Now, this is hard to pick up, so I don't want to make it seem like this is a super easy thing to pick up. But let's talk about this play. So notice how there's 5 guys essentially on the front, right? Number 4 is a linebacker. 24 is a defensive lineman, as are the 3 guys on the inside. But notice that 4 as well as 24 are not going to end up coming at all. Now 54 is going to be the guy that comes with the 3 inside defensive linemen. So it's essentially only going to be a 4-man pass rush. And although you're only bringing 4 guys, you generate that pressure. And this is called the simulated pressure. You're essentially using the offensive line's rules pre-snap against themselves. So on this play here, Tooney's going to end up going to the long 3 technique. The left tackle is going to end up taking Von Miller here. So you got those 2 guys that are going to essentially shoot out towards the right side of your screen, while number 94, Daron Payne's going to slant to the left. And you guys can already see what ends up happening here. 54 is going to jump the A gap to the right side of the center, right? Or the right side of how we're looking at it. Now watch this play here. Watch the guard tackle. They're going to end up jumping outwards. They jump outwards to these 2 guys. 94 slants to the left. Bobby Wagner comes free to the right side of the center. And he's going to generate the pressure. And keep in mind, this is an incomplete pass. So I show you guys this play because this ended the drive for the Bears. And this is something the Commanders do a lot. Now there's a couple different ways of how you can pick this up. So first and foremost, as soon as the left tackle recognizes that 24 is not actually pass rushing, right? As soon as he realizes this, and doesn't realize it at this point, but right there is when he kind of realizes it, you have to be able to take on the defensive tackle, right? Or at least try to switch with the left guard here. And it's a hard thing to do, and honestly, this is probably the harder way to pick this up, but that would be one of the ways to pick this up. The other side of this would be to make the swap between the right tackle, right guard, and center. There's only 2 guys here, and there's 3 offensive linemen. The center would have to pass 94 to Jonah Jackson. Jackson would have to pass 92 to right. But do keep in mind, 92 is already sliding to the outside, and Jackson's coming back to the inside, right? He's recognizing it pretty quickly, and you just see it's just not good enough, right? But again, this is a very hard thing to pick up. The last option to pick up a simulated pressure, and what a lot of teams actually do, is they'll actually just full slide this away from the running back. And everybody basically blocks the gap to the left, and then the running back comes over here and blocks the backside gap. But again, it's a hard thing to pick up. But I did want to just show you guys this play because the Commanders did design the simulated pressure. They did pressure the quarterback. The quarterback did have to throw the ball early. Now, obviously, I show you guys this simulated pressure because the Washington Commanders, they don't run this all the time, but they do run this probably like 5 to 7 times a game. On this play here, which is going to be on the next drive, you're going to see these guys once again try to run the same simulated pressure. And the offensive line does a pretty good job picking this up. The running back also does stay in, which does allow, that one extra guy to kind of pick up the blitz. But also do note, watch how much quicker the right guard's going to be on this one to pick this up. Look at him process this a lot faster, get his eyes to the inside. And you just see it. All right, it's a lot faster, it's a lot cleaner on this one as opposed to the other one. Now, I'm pretty sure Jonah Jackson would have been able to get to 54. Quarterback may have had to step over the top here to avoid the pressure, but that's a good job right there for those guys to recognize. Again, the Commanders run this a ton. Watch 52 drop, and then look at the left tackle, left guard recognize it as well. Look at how fast Theo Benedict gets the eyes to the inside. So keep in mind, you run this on the first, 3rd, and 4. You come back to it on the next drive. A little bit later on, you're trying to get off the field, and you see these guys be able to kind of pick it up. So that's a really, really good job. An adjustment by the offensive lineman. Let's get into the next snap. Alright, guys, check this next play out. Keep an eye on the left tackle. This is a phenomenal block by Benedict. I mean, look at the quickness. Gets out there, makes contact with the corner, and that's going to allow DJ Moore to pick up 13 yards on this one. That is a phenomenal job by the left tackle to just quickly get out of there. You see the left guard gets downfield, also ends up making a pretty nice block. It's a really nice job on 2nd and 10. Alright, guys, check this next play out. You're going to pick up 5 yards. On his zone run towards the left, running backs ended up cutting this back towards the inside. Keep an eye here on the left tackle. He has to do a little bit of a better job. That's a very difficult block to make. He has a 3 technique he has to get in front of. As a guy lined up in the 3 technique, his sole responsibility is to make sure he has this gap. And Tooney's going to try to help Benedict, and he's just not going to be able to get in front of this. Now, it's still a gain of 5 yards, but you're going to see that defensive tackle is the guy that's going to make the play. And again, it's a hard block, right? So it's not like it's a terrible play. It's still a gain of 5 yards, but you have to be able to do a better job on this one. And again, it's a very difficult block. There's some blocks in the NFL where a guy might have outside contain, and then as a tackle, your job is just to keep him to the outside. That's a very neutral play. And then on the other side of this, you have a play where a guy has to stay within a gap, and the offensive lineman's job is to get in front of a guy, right, to displace him out of that gap. This block over here is going to be a lot easier than this block over here. So there's going to be little things that Benedict will have to improve on. You just get a little bit better as a reacher when it comes to run blocking. There's a couple other plays like this where he doesn't do a great job reaching. Not a huge deal, still a gain of 5 yards. I do like the climb here by Tooney. The left guard here has a very difficult block. And he has to double team, he has to help the tackle, and then he has to get to the inside of 54. 54 is a veteran, all-pro caliber linebacker. And Tooney does a really nice job reaching 54, and he basically shuts it down. You know, Joe Tooney's definitely the Bears' best offensive lineman, and you see it across the tape. Just what this guy's able to do. And I shouldn't say best, maybe I should use the word smartest, maybe, best technician. The guy's a really, really good football player. And you see him literally making plays for the Bears offense when it comes to the run game. He is literally the sole reason for plays to work. The reach on 54 on the last play, the reach on 54 on this play. Again, 54. Bobby Wagner's a really, really good linebacker. He may not be as athletic as he once was, but he's still smart. He's still making these plays every single week. And you got Joe Tooney just erasing this guy out of there. I mean, that right there is phenomenal. 12 yards right here that DeAndre Swift picks up, but this one's created by the guard, and don't overlook the fact this is a weak side run. As guys line up on the weak side, you have to essentially get in front of guys whose responsibility is to shut those gaps down. As I just showed you guys that example, on this one, 52 has the outside containment, and all the tackle has to do is just make sure this guy stays to the outside, and he's going to do that. But on the inside, these two guys, right, the center as well as the left guard, they have two guys that are essentially in these gaps. And what those guys have to do is they have to get in front of both of these guys here. And they're going to actually end up doing that. Now, the one thing that you have going with a guy like Drew Dalman and Joe Tooney is they've routinely made these blocks over the course of their careers. This is something these guys have done. Now, I say this is a weak side zone run. And I say that because this is something the Bears have probably already thought through, right? Ben Johnson has probably thought this through. That the weak side zone runs is probably the hardest type of runs to be able to have success because you don't have the numbers to your side. But when you have Drew Dalman, you have Joe Tooney. Look at the double team here on the defensive tackle. That double team by Tooney and Dalman, and look at Dalman just getting in front of number 96. Look at that. That right there is an absolute incredible block. It does not get better than that. And you won't see a better block than what Dalman and Tooney do to number 96 here. And then, of course, Tooney has to get up to number 54. He does that as well. That right there is absolutely incredible. 12 yards on this one. Let's go ahead and get to the next snap. Watch the block here by the left tackle. Look at him, essentially get out in front. Bam, takes on number 92. And you pick up 6 yards on this one. Gets you all the way down to the 1 before Caleb Williams ultimately ends up sneaking it in. Watch the down block by the right tackle on 94. And look at him climb. Look at the movement that he's generating on this one. Look at that. That right there is absolutely incredible. When you're able to take a guy and move him 4, 5, 6, 7 yards, remember, the NFL is all about gap containment. It's all about not allowing the guys to move you. The term set the edge really means something, right? It means don't allow movement. And on this one, number 92 might be jumping inside and 54 might be jumping outside. They might have what is called a run stomp. Not 100% sure if they do, but they might have a run stunt, so you might have to move a guy out of that gap, right? Just a really, really nice play. And then, of course, you're going to get the quarterback run. Really good job here. I think it was the broadcast crew that said, hey, the quarterback was expecting a better block by DeAndre Swift on this one. I understand the thought process of that, but do understand it's a very, very difficult block to make. The guy that Swift is blocking has outside containment. He is all the way on the outside. His sole responsibility is to take the outside gap. And he already has the angle, right? It's a very, very difficult block to make. But Swift does enough with this guy where the quarterback's still able to score. You're still able to score a touchdown and get those 6 points. Sometimes I hate announcers that make these type of comments because it starts shifting the mindset of fans. And to me, this is a really good block by DeAndre Swift. Sure, could he have reached number 20? Yes, he could have also pushed him out, and Caleb Williams could have also cut underneath him. Right, DeAndre Swift does not have eyes on his back. He doesn't know where Caleb Williams is running. If number 20 wants to get all the way to the outside, for all DeAndre Swift thinks, hey, I can just push him out, and Williams would end up just cutting it underneath me. Again, you don't have the eyes on the back. You score a touchdown regardless, so it's a really good job. Let's go ahead and get to the next snap. Alrighty, guys, 2nd and 6. You're going to get a pin pull towards the right. The offense is going to end up picking up 19 yards on this one. Just a really, really good job by the guys up front. Yeah, I like Swift. I really do like him. But the offensive linemen just went out there and dominated. And they had a lot of success, and you can tell this is the Ben Johnson offense. You're starting to see it more and more. There's just so much creativity to the offense. The one play will be a pin pull, the next play will be duo, the third play will be inside zone, and then followed up by, some sort of end around back to your wide receiver, right? There's just so many different moving parts, and this is hard to stop. Look at the block here by Darnell Wright. I mean, talk about being an absolute superstar caliber offensive tackle. He ends up blocking 2 guys on this one, and DeAndre Swift cuts it underneath him perfectly. This play could have gained nothing if the guys were in their run fits the right way. And number 0 is the guy that's going to get out of his gap. If 0 takes the right side of Darnell Wright and the corner's already on the outside, I mean, you technically could have had, stopped this play. But obviously the guy ends up taking the wrong gap. Darnell pushes him outwards, also makes contact with the other corner. And you're going to pick up 19 yards. And literally, that's the only block that you really needed on this play. You did have a nice down block as well by Zacchaeus. Really nice job. It's a very difficult block to make on Armstrong, who's a strong-ass defensive end. And even DJ Moore on this one. Watch number 2, ends up picking off number 4. That's a good block right there by Moore. You get Jonah Jackson and the center, left guard. All these guys are going to end up just kind of reaching a gap. It is a power-based concept, but the only guy really rolling power is going to be the front side tackle. Everybody else is essentially going to be zone blocking or reach blocking. Jonah Jackson does a good job getting to the linebacker. And just like that, man, you're going to pick up 19 yards. That is a phenomenal play right there by the Chicago Bears. All right, guys, check this next play out. You're going to have empty protection. Watch the adjustment that Darnell Wright's going to end up making on this one. He's going to end up stepping to the right. He's going to come back to the linebacker because the linebacker is going to be the biggest threat on this play. And to me, this is, just smart. It's smart football. He does his job on this one. Number 4 is probably the most immediate threat. So they're going to end up picking up the blitz. It's a really good job. The quarterback gets the ball out. It is going to be a complete pass. But you see the offensive linemen, they're comfortable with the blocking assignments. They're comfortable with the offensive scheme. It might have taken 3, 4, 5 weeks, but they're at a really, really good point at this point where they're able to have all this success. You're going to get a 9-yard run on 3rd and 10. This was the play right before the 4th and 1 that the Bears went for in the second quarter, and they ended up not picking it up. This is actually going to be a pin pull, very similar to that 19-yard run we just looked at a second ago. This time it's going to be to the right side of your screen or towards the left side of the formation. So Benedict has to pull out in front, and once again, you got 92 on the front side, and Odunze is not going to do as good of a block. And because of that block, number 92 gets upfield. He's going to basically disrupt the block, right, or the timing of Theo Benedict. He's going to basically run right into the left tackle on this one. It's partly on Odunze. And also just say that number 92 just jumped the gap perfectly. They're on a silent snap type of situation. So when the left guard's looking at the quarterback, and he's tapping the center, he's letting him know it's time to go. You pick that up as an edge player, right? It kind of gives you the advantage almost. But it actually ended up working out because the Bears picked up 9 yards on this one, right? 3rd and 10 to pick up 9 yards. 4th and 1, which was the very next play. They're not going to pick this up. Definitely had an opportunity, but the quarterback just missed it. And the linebacker here, who's lined up on the line of scrimmage, ends up dropping off. Again, notice the simulated pressure. Again, they're running that same type of blitz, and you see that it's being picked up fairly well. Now this one here is a play action, which means most guys are going to slide to one side. But the edge players end up dropping off. So, with that's kind of what ends up happening. Number 4 is right there in the perfect spot to break it up. Not a huge deal. Obviously, the Bears still won this game. I do want to show you guys a couple more snaps from the second half. This one here is 2nd and 3, and they're going to pick up 21 yards. The Washington Commanders are in cover 1, and you're going to get Rome Odunze that gets wide open, 21 yards on this one. And then on the very next play, you're going to get 37 yards to Luther Burden, and essentially those 2 plays gets you right in position to be able to get a field goal. And the Commanders actually do end up stopping the Bears to a field goal on this one. A couple plays later, you're going to be in a 3rd and 11, and you're going to actually end up getting a sack on the quarterback. Now, on this one here, the Commanders just did a really good job in terms of running their cover 3 match defense. And what's going to end up happening is the quarterback has all day, truth be told, but no one gets open. And it is a 4-man pass rush, right? So it's not like you only have like 2 guys coming. The offensive line, I mean, look at that time right there. And there's just nothing the quarterback could have done. You could have thrown up a 50-50 pass if you wanted to and potentially thrown an interception. Or you could take the sack. And I think the sack is a smart play on this one because you take the 6-point lead after you essentially make the field goal on this one. Now, I do want to just give credit to the interior guys. Watch the defensive line game essentially be passed off, picked up. And you see, I believe it's number 92 here. He's going to actually slant all the way to the far outside. So not only do the guys have to switch with number 92 on the inside, but then even the left tackle. And this is part of what makes Theo Benedict such a great football player. So 92 is going to slant all the way to the outside. It's a long developing defensive line game. The switch is going to happen where Jonah Jackson, Drew Dalman take number 94 here. You're going to see the left guard Tooney not, understanding the situation. Hey, I got to take number 92, but maybe number 92 is going to the outside, and maybe 4 is going to end up coming back to the inside. And look at this. Look at that process. Then this is late in the play, right? I can't tell you guys how hard this is for an offensive line to be able to pick up. And this is why you get veterans, right? This is why Jonah Jackson, Drew Dalman, Joe Tooney, guys that are older, right, or veterans, this is why you bring these guys in, because these are the type of plays you get. These are the type of offensive linemen you're going to get. And I show you guys this play because this is really incredible. And again, for Theo Benedict, he's going to stop number 4, the linebacker's bull rush, and then look at him swap this late. Tooney takes 4, Benedict gets off of that and takes Armstrong. That is incredible right there. That is super smart, high IQ, great processing. And this is all also possible because of the fact that arguably one of the best right tackles in the NFL can single-handedly shut down Von Miller. I'm a Raiders fan. Some of you guys know this. I watched the Commanders, essentially go up against the Raiders, and their D-line dominated the Raiders. And the Bears O-line on the other side dominated the Commanders defensive line, right? Or they found a lot of success for most of the game. And, it was Von Miller. He had like 2 or 3 sacks against the Raiders, multiple quarterback hits. I didn't even hear this guy's name last night. And you see plays like this by Darnell Wright where he just shuts him down. That is a really, really nice play up, going up against a really good pass rusher. Obviously, the quarterback's not able to get the ball out, so you do lose 7 yards. But you get the field goal, which I think is a win for the Bears on this drive. I really like what the Bears have been able to build up to this point. The offensive line has really started to come together. Making that change where you put Theo Benedict in as opposed to Braxton Jones, I think has slightly unlocked the offensive line a little bit more. But I also still do think that the offensive linemen, they're good. They're good football players. And I think it was just a matter of time until it kind of clicked. Also, I love these weak side runs. The weak sides to the left of the formation. And again, the defense has the numbers, right? It's a hard thing to do for the center and left guard to reach a guy that's essentially playing that 2-eye technique. This guy's responsibility is don't let the reach happen. And, Drew Dalman does not care, right? He's going to reach. That's such an incredible job right there. This is literally why the Chicago Bears signed Drew Dalman. It's for this block right here. Because he isn't great in pass pro, and I'll keep saying that. He's good. He's really good, but he's not great. He's not, and I shouldn't use great, maybe elite. He's not elite in pass pro. He's not elite even like when it comes to power-based concepts, but he is elite when it comes to reach blocking. And I think with Ben Johnson utilizes a lot of outside zone concepts like this one, where you have to reach as a center. If you're running inside zone, which Ben Johnson does less than outside zone or wide zone, the center wouldn't try to reach this guy. He would just try to push him outwards. But because this is outside zone, you're going to try to reach as a center, right? The responsibility changes. And Drew Dalman does a really good job. And, even Jonah Jackson on this one. Phenomenal job with the help. I do think Jonah Jackson's had his struggles this game, but he also has good plays. Nice double team, gets up to 4, makes contact, takes him out of the gap. Now, before we move forward, I want to just take the next 60 seconds to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, ProfitX. This is America's #1 sports prediction market. ProfitX is peer-to-peer, so you'll be playing against real users as opposed to traditional sports books where you'll be playing against the house. This means that ProfitX is going to give you much better odds. If you guys want to make picks on the NFL, ProfitX has you covered. But if you're like me and you want to make picks on multiple other sports, ProfitX has you taken care of there as well. From the Ryder Cup to the Premier League, Prophet X has pretty much every major sport. And one of my favorite parts about this platform is that if the odds don't already exist that you want on any given player, you can basically just request it. Prophet X will make it happen. And if you use my link to go sign up right now, Prophet X is going to give you $200 in free money. For every dollar that you put into Prophet X, they will essentially match it. So make sure you guys go check out the link down in the comments below. Let's get right back into the content. You know, I do think Jonah Jackson's had his struggles this game, but he also has good plays. Nice double team, gets up to 4, makes contact, takes him out of the gap. That's a really good job right there. Darnell Wright, you know, his block's easier because 52 has to set the edge and Darnell Wright just needs to push him out. But look at the movement he's going to generate. Makes contact and starts to move this guy out of there. Starts to move that gap. And you know, when it comes to setting the edge, you want to take that edge that's supposed to be set and you want to move it 2-3 yards to the left. This is a really nice run. And you see the backside reaches as well. It's a good job. Benedict processes, ends up picking up 54. That's a really nice job by the guys up front. 15 yards on this run, just a phenomenal job. Just a couple more snaps that I want to show you guys. You got the 55-yard play here to DeAndre Swift. Now, this is a phenomenal design by Ben Johnson because this is 3rd and 4. The point of this play is not to score a touchdown, is to pick up 4 yards. If you guys look at the design, you're going to have 2 wide receivers that are going to essentially clear this out. Now, keep in mind the Commanders are a cover 1 and cover 3 heavy team, right? But mostly they play cover 1 out of this one shell high look. And this one's going to end up being a cover 1 defense. It's technically cover 0 because they end up blitzing the linebackers. And the safety has the one-on-one with the running back. But it would be the same thing even if number 4 has the one-on-one with Swift. These 2 guys down here are going to set the natural pick. Watch the pick kind of happen between those guys. All right, both guys kind of set that pick right there. That's a very difficult thing to be able to kind of pick up Swift as he's running this out route. Even if it was number 4, I don't think he'd be able to cover this route. But again, it's a really nicely designed play because it's meant to get the first down, or it's meant to pick up the 4 yards that you need. And then Swift, of course, in open space is a playmaker. And, you know, this is kind of what I would expect out of Swift for the rest of the season. Really good football player, super explosive. If the offensive line's able to kind of hold their run gaps, if they're able to hold their blocks, which they haven't always done, but they did in this game, and Swift obviously ended up going for over 100 yards. It had like 60, 70 yards through the air as well. And the Bears found a lot of success. Of course, you know, the Bears obviously ended up getting the stop, and they weren't put into a situation where they were down by 2 points late in the game. The defense forces that turnover. And it's the run game that, once again, essentially seals it, right? They're essentially going to seal it for the Bears to win this game. You're going to pick up 25 yards on 2 runs by DeAndre Swift. On this one here, you're going to get a zone run to the left. It's outside zone once again. And Swift just sees that lane to the outside. And he just bounces it. This is a phenomenal job by the guys up front. It does not get better than this. Basically, every single one of these guys makes their blocks. And Darnell Wright, I mean, just look at the block here on the linebacker. Look at the way he's able to make contact with number 4, and then he kind of flips him towards the inside. And that allows the running back to get out of there. So it's a really good job by him. You're also going to get a 15-yard run 2 plays later. And I think this one was the one that kind of sealed it because the Commanders had no more timeouts. So 15 yards on this one. This was 2nd and 12. And then you're able to just knee the ball, get into a position where you're able to kick the field goal. Now keep in mind, this is going to be a pin pull concept. This is the 3rd time we're looking at this play in this film breakdown. And once again, man, Darnell freaking Wright, man. I don't think people realize this. Watch the block here, and I'm going to slow this down. Watch what ends up happening on this play. Look at 52, right? 14 has a down block. 52 goes over the top. That right there is a win for 52. He's in the gap. But look at Darnell Wright. This is not his job. This guy is not his responsibility. He gets the left arm in there, and then he actually gets to the guy he's supposed to block. But that left arm is just enough to slow down that guy so he can't get into that gap. Think about what happens on 2nd and 12, which is this play. Think about what happens if you force the Bears to lose 3 yards. You still have another timeout. You're in a 3rd and long, essentially, and you would still have time. There's 1 minute and 14 seconds left right now as the ball got snapped. You'd have well over a minute after the Bears kick a field goal and go up by 1. That's a situation where you can easily get into a field goal. But this block right here, man, I'm a Darnell Wright fan, so maybe I'm a little biased, but the guy's an absolute superstar. And I hope Bears fans recognize this, because I still see on Twitter where people are like, hey, maybe start Ozzie Trapilo at right tackle, and maybe you can move off of Darnell Wright. I think I saw a tweet recently where it went like 500-600 likes, although there are a lot of people that kind of disagreed with it. I still see people saying Darnell Wright's maybe not that good. But I'm telling you guys, this guy's an absolute superstar, phenomenal football player. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's obviously a little bit longer than I was thinking it would be, but the Bears offensive line is having a lot of success. And obviously the Bears are having a lot of success, and Bears fans deserve this, because covering the Bears for the last 3 seasons, there's been a lot of struggles. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but obviously the Bears are a Super Bowl caliber team, and I think we're seeing that at this point. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time with another video.